Okay, it's time I think that we start really doing some serious modeling, some creation. And with that, what we'll do is we'll start with just a cube. And it won't really stay as a cube for long, because what we'll do is we'll make it a little bit thinner in this direction here. There you go. And then we'll go and move it, make sure it's selected. Well, that is the case by default after just creating it. And then we'll go and move it kind of into the middle here. Now that's the front view. And we can go and have a couple of other views, maybe all of them at the same time here, the front, the top. What I'd like to do is convert this to a shape where each polygon is defined by itself, because right now it's not. Right now it's a cube. Well, it's okay, it's squished a little bit, but it's still a single entity cube based. And what we really want to do is start modeling by grabbing those facets, or grabbing the vertices, the edges, and editing those, moving them around, extruding from them, and so on. So that's kind of a polygon level modeling, and in order to do that we need to make this or convert this shape into a polygon shape, also known as a mesh shape. It's a mesh, it's a surface, it's a bunch of polygons. So we'll go to the build menu and we convert it to a mesh. Notice you can also convert it to a subdivided surface, and some other shapes could be converted to splines. We'll take a look at both of these, the mesh and the subdivided. In this tutorial we'll start with the mesh, and we see nothing changes, and that's because it still is each polygon exactly the same place. But we will be able now to select individual polygons. So we'll go to this tool here where we can choose to edit individual facets or edges or even vertices in some cases. So we have a choice here we can make. What is it exactly we want to edit at the macroscopic level, at the smaller level? Let's start with the facets. That's kind of the obvious thing, and we want to go and select them. So we have a selection tool right there, and we can go and click, and you'll see it highlight in yellow. You can click another one, or you can right click and have them both selected. So now for my spaceship, what I'll do is I'll select this side and I see the front. It would be nice to have the back side selected too. Now this one here is the top, so this one is probably this part here as we see it from the top down. And in fact we can select that. We can go, instead of using the point to select this cursor here, we can use the rectangular marquee selection. And so if we select just this part, it grabs the polygons that are in that selection, and there happens to be one in the back. Great, so we can also do the same with the background. But how do we know we selected that? Well, first of all, if you select with the left button, the one that we had initially selected is no longer selected. So if you want to select them both, what you could do is, to see it, you could do one view here at the front and the other one at the back view. So now you see indeed, if I select this side, it selects the back. That's the back view. We see it from the back here. And then we can use the right button to drag and select the front. So now both the front side and the back side are selected. And that's really what I wanted, because I want to extrude them both at the same time. So now I'm going to extrude, and I know they'll be extruded by the same respective distance. That's really the whole point about doing that, is to know that I don't have to do it once on one side like the front and then another, and again on the other side. It will be all selected at the same time and extruded by the same distance. And then of course I didn't want the front and the back, I wanted the left and the right side. So let's go change that here. Let's say here's the left view, here's the right view. Let's go and undo this and select here again. So rectangle selection, right? We're on the facet mode, rectangle selection. Let's go and select this. Here's the right view. Let's do this one here, that's the left view. So now we have them both selected. This is from the top. And what we can do is we can do the extrusion right there. We can go to the extrusion tool and extrude this. All right. So what I'll do is I'll extrude it quite a bit, and then I'll realize I really wanted these guys to be farther apart. Now to do that, what I need to do is really change the edges, the location of the edges. I'm going to go switch to edge mode. See how we were on facet mode? I'm going to go to edge mode. And in edge mode, I can still use that rectangle selection tool, but this time what I'm selecting are the edges, and you'll see them here at the top, the bottom. It's going all around and selecting them all. And I'm going to use the right button to select the other set, and now I have a total of 4 edges. This loop here and another loop around here. I can actually see that in wireframe mode, I guess. Let's see, that would be this one here. See, it became transparent there, but it lost the selection. So let's go do that again. Let's go select View, Wireframe. So now I see the edges, right? Maybe I can zoom in a little bit so it's clearer. Let's go zoom in. So that's the view mode with the eye here. And then I can change the zoom level. And so let's see, yeah, that's good. I can see those edges here. And those are the ones I want to select and then move them apart to the outside. Or maybe some other places. All right, so let's go select and make sure we're still on selection of edges. And right click or left click initially, that's the first selection. There you go, we got that initial selection of the loops. And then right click for the other edges, and there they are. So the reason I did that is that I can now move these away. I can, for instance, in this group of tools, I can rotate them, I can scale them non-uniformly, so I can move them apart, I can make them bigger and smaller. So there's lots of different things you can reshape that way. And what I'd like to do is give them around this much of a distance, maybe a little bit more. There you go. And then I want to do this selection here. Let's go and select, well, I need to change to the selection. Where is it? There, selection tool, and select this and select that, right? And what I'd like to do is make them thinner, smaller. So I'll rescale them, and not from the center, but rather this one here. So there I can adjust their size, how thin they are, and I want to also change them in this axis. So I just use it in this view. There you go. So now they become really small. All right. So now from there I can go back to the facet selection tool and select this side. Wait, I need to make sure I select the object altogether. So let's go do that. Select the object, and then go to the facet selection tool. Make sure we're on the facet selection, and this time we'll go and extrude. There you go. So now we'll go with the extrusion tool, but we haven't selected any yet, so we need to first select the facets. There's one, there's the other. We got them both selected, and maybe we can zoom out a little bit. Let's go back to the view on this one here and change the view a little bit so that it gets smaller. And we'll get to see a little bit more of that extrusion we're about to make here. So let's go back to facet selection, selection of facets and extrusion of those. And there you go. All right, so that's one thing that we can do is we can go and create a couple of steps, click a few times. Let's say now we want this part on the front. Let's go select that facet, right? There you go. I want that one extruded forward a little bit. So that would be probably this side here. And what I'll do is I'll simply extrude that. There it is. All right. And I want it at an angle now, so I could grab this edge up here. Let's switch to edge mode and select the edge. So we got this edge here at the top. You see it right there, right? And I'm going to move it a little bit inward to the right in this view here. So let's go and move that like so. Could also go down or up a little bit. Let's keep it at about the same. And then we could perhaps give it a little bit of a bevel. Let's make it a bevel like so. Now we have a bevel just on this edge if we click it, but we might also want to, let's undo that, Control Z, and select the whole facet. And then we'll bevel that. So all of the 4 edges around that facet will be beveled. Let's go do that. So we'll select the facet. Let's go to facet mode. Select this one right there. That's the front facet. And let's go to the bevel mode. And there it is. Right, and click once. You can actually click and drag to change how much beveling you get. And that'll work pretty nicely. And there we go. All right, so we want to also get some guns out here. We want to get some wings. There's all sorts of other stuff we need there. So let's see if we can go to change my view. I'm going to go back to a flat shaded view. There you go. And I want to grab this one. So let's select the facet mode and select this and right click for the other one on the other side. Oh, that was on top. There you go. So let's redo that. Just make sure we didn't get too many. Left click here. That starts the selection, and then here's another one added to the selection. All right, and so we'll extrude that. Let's see, this one here. There you go. Okay. And let's say we want that to be a little bit wider at the end here. So let's go and scale it like so. You want to make sure your cursor doesn't move out of that view, because if it does, it actually switches back to. It has to be in there. All right. So let's do the same thing on the back side. Now for the back side, I could select them here perhaps, or I could just like turn this guy around so I get a better view there. So I'm going to go to the view mode and rotate, and so I can rotate it around like so. That's a good vantage point. I can select this one and this one. So let's go back to selection, and actually let's first select the object to make sure that one's there. I don't know if we need that, but I think if you have multiple parts in the scene, it's good to indicate which one you're working on. Select it and then go to the facet selection mode and make sure you are indeed in facet and not edge selection. Go to the pointer to select and click once and click another one here with the right button. There you go. Actually, let's do that again. So one click here with the right button, and now we can extrude those just like we did before. All right, so we're starting to get a little bit of a structure here. Now let's say we want, actually these guys here will be the back, and those will be kind of the engine exhaust. So we probably need to bring up a little bit bigger so they're more like squares. So let's go back to this rotation here, this angle. Yeah, we need to bring these up. So one thing you can do is we can move back to selection mode. So let's go to individual entity editing, edge mode, and select this one. We need to be in selection pointer there with the cursor. There you go. So there's one, right click, there's another, right click, there's another, and there you go. So now we got those, and we want to basically separate them upwards there, make them move up a little bit more. So let's use this scale tool here and see what that does. Nah, that's not good. That seems to rotate. Not quite good. Let's undo that, Control Z. Let's see what we can do here in this one. Maybe with this one we can move it up. Yeah, there you go. That's a super turbocharged engine here, and what we'll do now is go back to facet mode. Let's go select facet, and I want to select these two. So let's make sure we're on the selection. One, right click, two, and let's get it out a little bit. Let's do extrusion. There you go. Now what I'm going to do is to move them back to the inside. So let's first make them a little bit smaller. That's this one here. That will scale the facet and create a new one. Right, let's make it a little bit smaller and then move it to the inside. In fact, we can go all the way to a cone for that. So let's go with the cone. That's this one here. Right, that will basically point it not to the outside but to the inside. But we don't want to go too far. Oh, this is actually cool. Let me show you something here. Let me undo that. This view up here is currently still in transparent mode. I mean, it's in wireframe and it shows the facets. Yeah, there you go. This one we can do the same thing. So we can see it in a semi-transparent mode where the wireframe is showing, but then the polygons are kind of transparent. So we can actually see where that cone goes as we extrude it. Let's do the same thing on this one here. Let's go and select this one and say wireframe. So then that way, as we extrude it, let me move this a little bit to the side. We're going to extrude this part here. It's going to, there you go. Let's go to the extrusion, there it is. And these are still our two facets that are selected. Let's go to the cone. All right, so now we can get this cone right there. And we can see actually when we go too far. We want to stay on the inside. There you go. And then that way, as we go back to viewing this as, let's say, as a flat or a smooth shaded, let's do flat shaded. Select it here, also as a flat shaded. Now we can see it's a nice little engine on the inside. Now this is very coarse, right? This is a very rough polygonal approximated modeling approach. This is a technique for very low polygon modeling, but this will work when you want things to look simplified like that, and it also will work if you want to later turn it into a little bit more of a smooth appearance, like an organic smooth surface. And there's two ways to do that. From this point here, first of all, I would save that. So let's go and save that to the file menu and save as, and say that's a new model, and we'll call this spaceship 2. There you go. It will be a AN8 Animator 8 format. Animate, excuse me. So now what we'll want to do is to look at it in a more organic appearance. So there's one way to do that, and that's to just select the object. Let's go to the edit point selection object selector and make sure we click here and select it. And then we can go to the build option here, the build menu, and say subdivide the faces. Okay, now when we do that, let's click OK. It turns into a little bit more of an organic shape, more smooth. All right, and in fact, especially if you, let's go to full view just for this view here, one view, and give it a nice organic or smooth look on the shading. And we still can do better. So let's go and smooth it again. Let's go build one more time, subdivide, and OK that. So now it's looking more and more smooth and organic. But where are our polygons? Well, now we have many polygons, many small facets, and sometimes that's not quite where we want to be yet. We still would like to go back to the original coarse facet. I call that the scaffolding, sort of the construction cage. And you can actually do that. Let me go back here, Control Z to undo. Okay, so back to the original. And that's really a reason to save also, because if you forgot how many levels you need to go back to that shaded mode, it's always good to be able to save and then later to go back to it. So make sure you save often. That's really a cardinal rule in the 3D world, in the modeling and sculpting world. It's to save often. All right, so what we want to do is to have a construction cage like this one, but really see underneath it the smooth surface. And this is what this does. When we go to build and select this one here, the convert to subdivided, this now is a subdivided surface, right? But we still can edit that. We can go to the edit mode here, and it still shows the coarse. Remember the coarse shape we had initially, the coarse polygons? It's still there. Those are still there, but they're transparent, and they control what we really will get in the end, which is our smooth surface. So you see the scaffolding here, and you can actually grab the facets too, not just the edges, but the vertices. Excuse me, the vertices you can grab there. Okay, so let's go and edit one of those. For instance, this one right here. See, you can select that. You can right-click another one. And so once you've done that, you can go and edit those. You can move those points around. And what that does is it actually moves the coarse surface, which then in turn defines the smooth surface underneath it. So this is really a scaffolding, or a construction cage that defines something much more complex and organic looking underneath it. So it's really neat, because you can, with just a few facets that you control actually a much more smooth surface underneath it. All right, so this is a very popular technique. If you're new to 3D modeling, this is something you'll see a lot in many other programs too. And we call this the subdivided surface, or subdivision surface. All right, so now we have a subdivision surface. And if you save that, you'll still be able to go back to it later as you reopen the file and edit those points. So, or you can edit the edges. You can select, or so I thought. Oh, yeah, we need to be in the selection mode. There you go. Select an edge, maybe select, oh, let's do this. Let's select the one, let's see, one here. Select this one. No, it's not easy to select them, is it? Let's select this one, and this one, right-click on the next one to select that as well. So we got two of those now. And then we can move them. We can go here and move that around, right? So you see how with just two edges selected, we get a very different surface that we can create with that, right? It's pretty amazing. Subdivision surface is a very powerful tool. And now sometimes you'd like it more subdivided. I mean, you can see here it's subdivided, it's smoother, it's organic looking, but it's still not very smooth, right? And perhaps we can give it more subdivision, more smaller meshing, right? There's a finer mesh. And actually you can. What you do is you select the object and double click it. So double click it, or select it, double click it, and you can see it knows that this is a subdivision surface. In fact, it named it like that, subdivision 01. This is the first of our subdivision surfaces. And it also has, therefore, a parameter called divisions. How many divisions are there? Final means when it renders it. Right? While you work with it, we don't necessarily need that much detail, but we could. This is a fairly high-end system. So I'm going to go to, let's say, 5. And 5 on the final. I'll be happy with that. So this gives me a much finer mesh, much finer subdivision. And I can go to File, smooth it, to the View menu and smooth it, and you can see how immensely smooth this surface is now, right? Even though underneath it, I really have only a few polygons that defines it. This is one of the nice features in subdivision surfaces. And so this is not a very complex spaceship quite yet, but you will see soon that we can do a lot more with that. You know, for instance, we can go back to the modeling of it, and we'll still see the facets, and we can grab those facets even, not just the vertices, but let's go grab a facet, grab the one at the top or the one here, and do more extrusions with that. All right, so for instance, we can go like we were here before and do another extrusion this way or to the inside. And then we can also change the size of it. There you go. Now let's go select another facet. Let's grab the one here at the top and perhaps rotate it. Right? That's not the rotation. That's the rotation for edges and vertices. These controls here are for the individual vertices and edges. But down here we have some controls for the facets. So let's grab this one where we can rotate the current facet. And look at that. So you can really create some funky stuff with that. Let's go select 2 facets. Let's go select this one and this one here, the counterpart on the other side. Right, and then this one, what I'll do is I'll make it a little bit smaller first. I said a little bit smaller. And then let's go and make a new one here. That's this one here. This one will make a new smaller inset. There you go. And then we'll extrude it to the top. So let's get the extrusion coming up here. Look at that. And it's a very smooth, organic looking surface, but I only grab one facet here. It controls, this construction cage controls a very defined, very smooth surface, but it's only one polygon that I need to control and worry about. Let's go back to multiple views. And here we see multiple views, and we see it from the side. Oh, I guess I had rotated the whole thing a little bit, so it's a little bit at a slant angle here. That's not going to help me. Let's just go back to one view, and I'll go do some more extrusion, maybe with some more rotation. There you go. And what I'd like to do is have 2 guns coming out this way here. So I'm going to go and extrude it one more time, and there you go, a little bit like so. And that I want to rotate some more. There you go. Let's go to rotation. And now I want to also make it smaller, so let's make it smaller. There you go. And extrude it some more. And rotate it. You know, I encourage you to try this and practice this a lot, and then also start using the shortcuts. If you find it tedious to go back and forth to that user interface, remember that there is down here at the bottom left, there is a shortcut indicator. It's like a tooltip that's tucked away. You can barely see it here. Let me move this up here a little bit. There you go. So you can see the shortcuts. Extrude faces connected, extrude faces, rotate, right? Rotate faces. Well, these shortcuts, Shift R. So you can go with lowercase a to select the facet. Let's say we want to select this one. And then you can go with Shift R to rotate it. There you go. Alright, but let's go back to the original one we had here. This one. No, not this one. There, that one and this one. So we got these 2. Let's rotate them a little bit more. That's a Shift R. And then extrude. What's the extrusion? Shift X, I guess. Yes, Shift X as in extrude. There you go. And what I'll do next is to make it a little bit smaller. And then I'll go with another Shift X. There you go. So now I got my guns coming out here. Let's go make it a little bit bigger. And then way bigger, and then extrude some more. So I mean, you know, your imagination is where it's going to take it here. It's absolutely, it's got the right tools here to do all sorts of things. And we can go back to even to the inside. Let's change the view to transparent again. Where is it? Wireframe. So now you can see the wireframe of the surface that's underneath it, the subdivision surface, and you can still see through it, and hopefully we can determine which way that thing is going. See here? Yeah, look at that. So now you can see sort of the inside of the barrel. And I think that will do it, because now as we look at it this way, we can go back to the main view. We dump that construction cage. We don't need that anymore. Let's do some more rotation in the view mode. And we got our guns. They're a little bit oblique, but then again, it's an alien spaceship, so who says we know exactly what's going on, right? So, alright, so here's our first very funky spaceship experience. And I encourage you to practice. Let's do some more modeling in the next tutorial and discover some more of these tools. Alright, thanks for watching.